Yeah, can you send it to me on WhatsApp?
Can you so can the members how many members are here now? That we can start our meeting. I think we can start the meeting because it's already 2 minutes past 1. I want to welcome everyone and the minister for the meeting of today. Oh, okay, honorable members. I want to welcome everyone to the meeting. We know that today we are going to get a progress report from the Minister of Public Works for the question of the session of the 16 March 2021. Minister, I will just hand over to you that you can brief the committee about the progress report just for 10 minutes, that if there are any comments and clarity seeking question, we'll take it after. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Just a brief introduction of the delegation from DPWI that is joining us in the meeting. We're joined by the Acting Director General, Dr. Alec Moemi, and then Ms. Sasa Saban, she's the DDG for Real Estate. And then we're also joined by Ms. Naleti Mkubele, she is the DDG for Real Estate. And then we also have a representative from Infrastructure South Africa, Tabang Kladi. And the network is very bad today, so some of the other colleagues will be joining us, Honorable Chairperson. The first report that we must give to the honorable members is around our undertaking of question 27 around the border infrastructure progress. Now, we have submitted it to the honorable members, but just briefly, Chairperson, is Dr. Moemi, are you going to speak to it, or Sasa? Or must I just...
Minister could present, or we could present, or we could even give Sasa to present. We are ready, Minister.
Oh, okay. Please proceed then. Through you, Chairperson, okay. Ask Dr. Moemi to proceed. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister. If we go to slide 3, and that will be the undertakings that we had made, and that Minister had committed to the committee that this will be what we answer to, and we provide clarity about this. Minister is correct. The first matter that she was asked in question 27 was on the issue of the border infrastructure, and in question 28, she was asked about the situation of the Pantown police station and the sick lab. And in undertaking, in terms of question 29, we were looking at the issue of increasing the value of assets. My apologies. There were 2 matters raised by the committee. One was on the refurbish, operate and transfer program, and the other was on the establishment of ISA, and the value add ISA gives in this regard, and the strategic direction of where this is going under the capable leadership of Professor Hosien Suramkhopa. And I wish to go straight to undertaking number 27. And this speaks to the border infrastructure as a whole. And one needs, in this regard, to actually answer to the issue of the matters that were raised by members. One of the key matters was that we have to find solutions and we have to ensure and look at what is available in terms of market and to fix our porous borders. Be looking at the type of fencing research in the market, and therefore the committee needs an update by the minister. And we need to immediately report that our engagements have been continuous. They've continued with DOD, SAPS, Home Affairs, as well as the Border Management Agency. And we had been working around the submission of appropriate user needs and detailed specification on the nature and type of
I think your network.
control barrier that we can look at in this regard. And we have looked at a lot of products that are on the market. Chair, am I better, Chair, now? Or am I still horrible?
Yeah, your network. I think you are your connectivity. Yeah, you are just cutting.
Dr. Maemi? Chairperson, is it okay if the network is very...
Am I better, Chair?
I'm just going to...
Yeah, maybe Minister, if you can.
Am I
Yeah, the
much
network
better,
is
Chair,
very
now?
poor.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, Minister.
But I can proceed, Chairperson, through you.
Yes, please.
Yes, Dr. Maemi left where he was reporting that the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, we have put out a request for information request for information on the 28th of March 2021. And the request closed on the 26th of April 2021. We then received 16 proposals, and then our bid evaluation committee did the evaluation in June of 2021. They found that 3 bids were compliant in terms of the request for information. Then we submitted the compliant bids to the Department of Defense in July 2021 to be incorporated into the final specifications of the border fence. Then the Department of Defense indicated in a meeting held on the 11th of November 2021 that engagements are transpiring internally and they will confirm the submission date of their approved specifications by the 25th of November 2021. To date, the Department of Defense has not submitted their approved specifications owing to their own internal engagements. And so we are patiently waiting on the Department of Defense to finalize the specifications. But in the meantime, honorable members, the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure has continued with the site clearance around our borderline. And between the Republic of South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique, we've done plus minus 700 kilometers. And between South Africa and Lesotho, we have done 600 kilometers. And between South Africa and Eswatini and Mozambique, we've done 54 kilometers and 500 kilometers respectively. But we cannot proceed because in some instances, there will also be a need for the Department of Public Works to buy some land from private owners. And we will be grateful if the committee can assist us so that we can finalize this matter with the Department of Defense and proceed. What we've also further intend doing, honorable members, is that once we have received the approval from the Department of Defense, our intention is that we then take this project to the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Committee chaired by the President to seek permission to register this project as a strategic infrastructure project, have it then gazetted in terms of the Infrastructure Development Act of 2014. So that is what we hope to do once we received the clearance or the final specifications from the Department of Defense. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. And then we have just shown you some conceptual models and the cross sections at the border fence. So in some instances, you have got a river, the river bank, and then there's a servitude. Then you've got a border road, and then of course, sometimes you have farms there. There are private farms, and that is what, you know, once we get the authorization from Defense as the client, then we will be able to proceed to do the work. So that's all from our side on this undertaking, question number 27, Honorable Chairperson. I thank you. Must we proceed to the next one?
Yes,
Honorable?
yes, please,
Okay.
Minister, you must do, yes.
Can I find out whether Dr. Moemi line is better? Okay, I will proceed, Honorable Chair. Then on question number 28, that the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure and the South African Police Service are engaging in the consolidation of leases, particularly for the crime intelligence operations, to be incorporated into one site with SAPS police stations within Pinetown. Now, the DPCI and the Crime Intelligence Unit, they are all accommodated in lease facilities within Durban. And in order to reduce the number of leases scattered across the city of Durban, SAPS and DPWI agreed that a consolidated needs be carried out, and then that will be forwarded to DPWI. And so that process have been consolidated, it's finalized. SAPS have done the needs assessment. After that process, the procurement did not occur. And because during the meeting held on the 18th of October last month, both departments resolved that the two units be relocated to the Kingsmead building. The plan was to accommodate the KZN Forensic Laboratory also at the Kingsmead building. There has now been due consideration by SAPS to relocate the forensic laboratory to Pinetown. And so DPWI is awaiting confirmation by SAPS on to relocate the forensic laboratory. I know that the acting GG has met with Lieutenant General Fani within SAPS, and even as late as yesterday. So we can go then to the next one, Honorable Chairperson, through you. This is all about the chronological order and timeline around the Pinetown Police Station. So the department has assessed the condition of the facility, and we've registered a fully fledged condition-based project for all building units except the cell blocks and the official quarters. So the project registration and approvals were granted internally by DPWI. The project is funded and the procurement instruction was issued to DPWI's regional office in August of 2022. And then the cost determined is about just over 154 million. And the scope of work is only limited to the repair and renovation of the police station buildings. So DPWI is now reviewing the scope of work to ensure that the entire facility is maintained. And in line with the classification of work, also the upgrading of the buildings is the responsibility of the client department. So we are waiting. SAPS has not yet forwarded the procurement instruction to us so that we can register this as a capital project. So, and hence the review of the scope to ensure that the condition of the facilities are improved. So where are we now, honorable members? DPWI has appointed service providers to service the critical components of the relevant buildings. And that include a lift contract for a period of 36 months, air conditioners that are maintained through the use of unscheduled maintenance on an ad hoc basis. And DPWI has also already undertaken the clearing of the bushes at the site in anticipation of the project to be registered and as part of the day-to-day soft maintenance of the facilities. So honorable members, that is the update on Pinetown. Honorable Chairperson, I am going to request, may I request Tabang Kladi, please, to take us through the last one.
Yes, please, if you can summarize for us because of the time, and that we can, because we did receive that report that the members can engage. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Tabang, can you hear us? Can you summarize, please? Question
yes,
number.
Minister.
Are you on? Thank you, Tabang.
Thanks, Minister, and thanks to the Chair, and good day to the members, honorable members of the committee, and to my colleagues from DPWI and to Acting DG Mwemi. So this is in response to the undertaking made in question 9 around increasing the value of the assets. And as the Chair has already said, this has been shared. So I'll just summarize what has been happening to date. So the department has taken the initiative to establish the Refurbish, Operate and Transfer program. This seeks to unlock value of our current assets in partnership with the private sector. And this is both drawing in their ability, both with capital and with their skills in helping us unlock this. And why is that? Because one considers that the state has an industrial scale portfolio. And here we're just indicating just the numbers, 90,000 facilities, which relates to 33.9 million square meters of space. And so to address this problem alone is not going to be possible for us. But the strategy then says, how do we crowd in private sector to help us unlock these buildings? And the initiative was looking at 200 buildings, but further looking at how we could roll this out. The department is then looking at optimizing our letting out strategy. And we have already appointed a legal firm that's helping us do that so that it can enable the commercialization of the strategy. And also the decision that we've taken, if you can please go to the next slide, the decision that we've taken as well is that this commercialization strategy requires a proof of concept process, because as you can imagine, 200 facilities to the market as a rollout is a major output. And so one needs to do a proof of concept to ensure that the implementation process and the nuts and bolts of the process, we can learn from it, so that when we do the full rollout, we have had at least some lessons from having implemented the program, because it's essentially not something that we've done before. Even though there are elements of the collaboration of the public and the private sector in various ways in this format of refurbishing our accommodation properties, whilst incorporating, as I said, both capital and skills in this process, has not really been done in this fashion. And as I highlighted earlier, the review of the leasing strategy is really to allow us to have long-term leaseholds. And this allows also for other forms of how these assets could then be unlocked, both to provide accommodation for our national departments and to see where we can match these assets to other needs within the state. And then post that to also see how the market could utilize them for other revenue generation initiatives. And so leveraging our assets, we believe that this program will allow us to do so, not only protect the value of the assets, but also unlock the use of these assets and also improve how we maintain them over the lifetime of these assets. And of course, part of it is to ensure that we promote inclusive growth and development in how these procurement processes are implemented, but also in how we implement the processes during let's say the facilities management process, because it's such a long period, and how there'll be transfer of skills, both from the private sector to the public sector, to ensure that we also bolster our own capacity going forward. Next slide, please. So where we are at the moment, next slide, please. Where we are at the moment is, as I said, the pilot phase, and we've selected Telkom Towers precinct in the CBD of our capital city, and Public Works House as well, which will be part of phase 1B. And these will really help us do the proof of concept properly. And the division is because of the scale of these facilities. They are quite large facilities, but their impact in their localities will be substantial, but also their impact into the property portfolio's improvement will also be substantial. And as I said, phase 2 will draw lessons from this proof of concept, and we will primarily focus on commercial buildings because they help us unlock, as I said, primarily accommodation for our departments, but also other needs that the state has, which will be identified with other departments and other spheres of government where possible, and then unlocking for market use so that we can generate revenue. So the funding that we are committing as a state is really the project preparation phase, and that's specifically with condition assessments to ensure that you create a proper baseline for the market to be able to give us solutions that are suitable, and also so that you can compare the solutions that you're receiving from the market. And then to also ensure that the market can understand the implications of their financing regimes and how they can then enter into these long-term leaseholds that will be longer than what we usually enter into with our leases, because they have to recoup their investments, but also help us, which is very important, help us with the value retention of our assets during the facilities management process. Next slide, please. So where we are at the moment, indicative timelines, is we are busy in the process of working with the legal team, as I said, in ensuring that the commercialization process is proper and it's robust and it can withstand our legal framework that governs how we function as the state. And also the condition assessments that I said, money has been made available now for us to be able to implement that. And the impact of that processes may affect when we go to market, but our plan is still to push for this current financial year for phase 1, that is, and that's for Telkom Towers. Next slide, please. This one is really to give the members an appreciation of the scale of the problem that we have, in that, you know, the state has a large portfolio. I mean, if you look at our industrial scale, we are very comparable to some of the real estate investment trusts which are listed on the JSE, and yet we are confined within government frameworks, the MTF budgeting framework, the current budget allocation processes. And so we need to take a step back to ensure that the analysis of phase 2 is done diligently, that we do proper due diligence. And as ESA, we've instituted what we term the 5-case model, and that helps us really de-risk our projects to ensure that we implement the right solutions for each of our assets. So that's why, one cannot just wholesale go out with 200 facilities without really testing this as a proof of concept, and ensure that then during your project preparation phase, as indicated in the previous slide with the money that's been made available, we can ensure that the facilities that we choose in the rollout are the right facilities, rightly located, will have the right impact, and will ensure that we also then contribute to the department's other objectives and aligned to other programs that are being implemented by the department within the PMTE, the Property Management Trading Entity space. Last slide, please. The other element around the response to the committee, which is still related to this question, was around the plan for the asset portfolio as a whole. And this still requires a lot of consultations within the department itself. But as the acting DDG Moemi has said in some previous conversations, that the ROTP is really the tip of the iceberg when one looks at how you are trying to unlock this asset base. So there will definitely be a conceptualization, which is what we're going through now, of other models and modalities that we could use to unlock our asset base, and ensuring that we really focus on value enhancement of our current assets, but also value protection of our current assets, and aligned, as well as I've said in the previous slides, around what the needs are of our clients, which is the national departments, what the needs are of our other spheres of government in using these facilities, and which is related to other socioeconomic objectives, for example, student housing, and then what the commercial needs are, where the market could really take some of our assets which are primarily located but are not being suitably used for unlocking that value. And it could render itself into various interesting models around the lease to own model, which you could test and see how mixed use developments can also change the space, whilst we also ensuring that we protect the value of our assets. So really the element here and the message is around value enhancement, value protection, and ensuring that we improve the facilities management regime of the state in partnership with the private sector, ensuring that they bring both capital and scale to the table. And the state has already brought its asset base. And in the first instance, in the pilot phase, we've already brought off-takers, which are the client departments. With that, Chair and Minister and Acting DG and DG Masemola, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Minister. I think you are done with the report now, Mr. Tadine.
Yes, Chair, I'm done. Thank you very much.
Yes, okay, thank you. Because we are having a challenge, there's a new system that they are using. Maybe in 6 minutes time, it can report. We don't know what's going on with the system. They just send our secretary that we must be aware of this new system that they are using. But now they say time left is 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Let's hope we are still going to be covered. Can I check with members? There is any specific questions or comments? Honorable Mtetwa.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to know that in the Pinetown area, is there any possibility, because that building, the minister is alluded to say it needs some renovation. It's the building, it's one, it's in the wrong place. Two, I suggest that that building, can they consider moving it into another place where it can be restarted again? Because if you're looking at the condition of the building, it has just been not acceptable at all for the community. I'm just asking that to the minister. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, there is any other member? I don't see any hands. Over to you, Honorable Minister. Oh, sorry, before I've seen the hand of Honorable Sheikh. Can you come in, Honorable Sheikh?
No, thank you very much, Chairperson, and my apologies for the camera because I have some connectivity issues. I just wanted I think as a committee we should also note the progress on the 3 undertakings, the third one especially. I think with regard to the first undertaking, Chair, I understand the challenges that the department has in terms of finalizing these undertakings because they're waiting in this instance for the Department of Defense to finalize specifications. Perhaps, Minister, if you could, you did indicate that you would want assistance from the NCOP, but I'm not sure if I clearly heard what assistance. But can the department perhaps tell us what are the actual delays in the Department of Defense to try to finalize these specifications? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Samai.
Yes, Chair. Chairperson, I was just want to ask a minister about the issue of 1 meal. When are those people are going to finish that building that started on 2010? And those who have been the contract that were building on that building and Defense Force in Pretoria Military Hospital.